Ta-da! Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to say hi to our Freedom Rider family near and far. A special shout out to my Queen Angelica, who was the first in the chat. And we too were just giddy and waiting for our little countdown. We've got Freedom Rider teachers who are at the ready, Freedom Riders who are at the ready. So my co-host extraordinaire, back by popular demand, is Freedom Rider Tony. Everybody say hello to my co-host, Freedom Rider Tony.
Hey everybody.
Tony, I think you are in Freedom Rider chats. Are you getting people excited about your co-hosting today?
Absolutely. I've been trying to tell everybody to come on come on board.
Right before we went live, he's got energy drinks at the ready. He was cracking his knuckles, doing all kinds of exercises. So are you in the zone, Tony?
Oh yeah, I was doing like my boxing moves to try to hype myself up. I'm good.
Before we dive in, fun fact, what is more stressful? Because I know we both get stressed before we walk into a room or on a stage, or what is scarier? To stand in front of kids in an auditorium, or to sit and look at a screen and know that all of your friends and family are watching? What's scarier for you? Because they're both scary for me.
To me, I think as the kids, because like my friends already like me,
Okay, we
so
like you.
and they know I'm like silly and I do stupid things anyways. But like the kids, they still have a chance to be normal. Like
Yeah.
we're already done.
Okay.
We're already done. We're already not normal. It's fine. The kids, they still got a shot.
Okay.
So
Well, and you actually are one of the freedom riders who actually gets like physically ill. Like I
oh
can't
yeah.
tell you how many times you and I are about to walk onto a floor, stage, an auditorium,
Mhm.
and you're in the bathroom throwing up. So
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm like Jamie Foxx in any given Sunday.
Okay.
Like right before the big game, I'll go and I'll throw up and I'll come back and I'll be great. And you're like, oh my god, are you okay? Did you throw up? And I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm great because I threw up. I feel fantastic now.
Well, I know you ran to the bathroom a couple. I don't want to know about bodily functions, but what that means is you take it seriously, which
Oh,
I love.
absolutely.
You're my very serious co-host for the next hour. Um, Several of our fabulous folks joined us at our 10 o'clock hour Pacific time. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, please know that the chat room is the most fun. If you've never had your fingers stretched out and rare to go, the chat room is where all the magic happens. We're just going to be the blah, blah, blahs, but the chat room is explosive, will break the internet. But I want to do a special shout out. We've got several Freedom Rider teachers who will already announce themselves. So a special shout out to Nancy in New York, Bill Fever, who's now in Illinois, Angelica, Sarah, and Julie, who are on the home front here in Southern California. But if you are joining us on YouTube, LinkedIn, or even Facebook, tell us hello. Say hello wherever you are so that we can spread a little love. We had a wonderful new friend who joined us from New York on our last hour. And he was so inspired by the book that he wants to write his own. He disclosed to us that he has cerebral palsy and was inspired to write his story. So we were so inspired by him that we're going to send him books. So if there's someone that is new, that's not even a freedom writer, like a Calvin Williams III, who is not a freedom writer teacher, if you just joined us, like Molly just joined us, announce yourself. And if you don't have an affiliation, welcome to our family. We're one big family. We put fun in dysfunctional, don't we, Tony? We put fun in dysfunctional.
Absolutely.
I also want to say thank you. We have a lot of folks who've been donating to us. So I want to say thank you to all the Freedom Rider teachers and friends and family who are donating. Every single penny helps us pay our mission forward. And Freedom Riders know that whenever I'm in front of a group of kids, I just give away free books. That's my favorite thing. So ironically, for those of you that love when I give away free things to your friends and family, I thank you because it allows me to find that perfect kid who needs it more than anything. Tony was with me a week ago. We went into 2 juvenile halls recently. I want to start there. And I want you to talk about what it's like when you give away a book to a kid in a juvenile hall.
Oh my God, it's already amazing being able to give away a book to any kid, but a kid in a juvenile hall. So one thing we found out is that if you're a kid and you're in juvie, you watch the Freedom Riders movie a lot. That's like one of the approved movies. That's the one that like you watch that and Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
Like
And
those,
thank God for a PG-13, right? Thank
right?
God.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Good thing we changed that at the last minute. But like these kids were just so honored. They were out there building sheds. They're working they're trying to get their high school diploma. Some of them are even working on their AA. Um and they're just such great kids. They're these big giant kids, but they're still kids. And when we were able to give them books, it was like we gave them a brand new car. It was
Like,
like we gave them a
it was better
Rolex.
than Gucci, right? We had better.
Right? Better. Oh my God, they thought it was amazing. And then we were blessed enough to be able to give them enough books that we put them in their little. They have these little bags, their Christmas bags that they get, and usually the staff just puts in stuff that they need: deodorant, socks, t-shirts, stuff like that. But they want to give them something for Christmas, so we were able to put a book in every single kid's
Oh,
Christmas
amazing.
bag.
Well,
Yeah.
our OG of our relationships with juvenile halls is the Silver Fox himself, Bill Fever. And Bill, I just want to let you know that Tony just did an amazing virtual event with the young men and women at Worsley, your former juvenile hall, and at Emmanuel's school as well. So we would not have had that amazing relationship and connection if it wasn't for you, the first Freedom Writer teacher that we selected. So tell Bill Fever how great it went for you speaking to those young men and women at Worsley, where he was awarded the Teacher of the Universe year after year after year.
Yeah, the kids were fantastic. They had read a lot of the stories before they watched the movie. They were so excited. They all wrote down a question or a couple of questions that they had because they were so like excited to ask questions, and they couldn't believe like the actual people were on the screen, and they were just such amazing kids.
Oh, I love it. Well, I want to do a quick shout out before we dive in. T, T, you're going to be excited. We're going to be doing 6 months of work at a Rise juvenile facility. So I know that is your former love language, working with incarcerated youth. I want to say hi to Tammy, Henry Wright. Not only did Henry Wright donate earlier today, but Henry Wright sent me a holiday card with my annual Starbucks run. And anyone that knows me, anytime we do an event, that's what we do, Mr. Wright, Papa Wright. We meet at a Starbucks between 4 and 5 a.m. I always take the cards that you and Charlotte Fawn give me, and I treat Freedom Riders at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and we head off somewhere. So it is the gift that keeps giving, Papa Wright. So thank you for not only sending it to me, but also donating to the foundation. I also want to say welcome back to our new friend, Nicholas McCarthy. We have 2 books, Nicholas, that we signed between our last live and this live with your name on it. So I'm going to ask you to, in the chat room, our sweet friend, Nico Dye, wants to make sure that we have the right address. We looked up and we wanted to make sure that we have your address correct. So Nico is going to pin you if you can, and if you can send him an email. We've signed them already. They are ready to go. You made such an impact on us at the 10 o'clock hour that we want to send those out to you to encourage you to write your book. Okay, well, we have so much to cover that I want to dive in. Uh, for those of you that are joining us, again, thank you, thank you, thank you. We had such a good time on our 10 o'clock hour that we selfishly said, please come back. And I'm thrilled that so many of you did come back. For those of you that are just joining us, we sat down and asked each other what was our top 3 moments of the year. And I chose my 3, and Tony chose his 3, and they are actually different. So we actually came up with, instead of a top 3, our top 6. And then I deferred to Tony for his top 3 podcasts. So you're going to get a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
And what we try to do in our displaying of our top moments of the year is to try to make those moments come to life. Before we dive in, though, what I want to say for those of you that are just coming out of celebrating Christmas, a lot of us ate way too much. A lot of us are still recuperating. And for a lot of our Freedom Rider family, we are in the midst of lighting candles for Hanukkah. So I am going to spend uh, Hanukkah with Renee and Claire Firestone. So I wanted to show you guys the most gorgeous menorah that was given to us. I don't know if you guys can see it, it's glass, but this was a gift from the Museum of Tolerance. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it's about 700 pounds.
Mhm.
And that leads me to Tony's first of his top 3, which was our day that was friends and family at the Museum of Tolerance. It was our 30th anniversary. You went there when you were just 14, Tony. And this time what we did is they literally closed down the museum just to us. It was Freedom Riders, honey bunnies and sweetie pies, sons and daughters, some parents, and all of you got to sit on the gorgeous stage in their theater and bring the Freedom Rider movie to life. So I love as these slides are playing in the background. There you are, Tony, pretty Tony. So that was your favorite moment um, in your top 3. That was your top moment of gathering Freedom Riders and their kids, specifically their kids. That was the coolest. And touring the museum with them. For those that don't know, every single Freedom Rider teacher, for the most part, has gone to the Museum of Tolerance or had that invitation. And on that day, all these beautiful faces that have microphones in their hands got to go with their kids. Oh my God, it was amazing. So, Tony, what was that like for you? I know this was your number one choice for your highlight for the year, to be back there and to be on that stage with Sherrod and Melvin and everyone else you see in this amazing slideshow.
Oh, it was amazing because like we went 30 years ago, don't do any math, but we went 30 years ago when we were kids, and I feel like we came out of there different people. Um and it completely changed our lives. And the fact that like we've been taking teachers there for like every teacher that has gone through our training has been through the Museum of Tolerance, and we always try to have a survivor there
Yeah.
to speak with the teachers. And now going back as like docents, and sometimes when we're there they have like groups of kids that are just there visiting, and they'll ask us like, hey, can you come and like say hi to the kids? And we're like, yeah, sure, of course. So we kind of go in and just say hi to them, and then because that scene is such an important scene in the movie, and going back now is just it just kind of comes full circle, especially when we're able to have all the Freedom Riders there on stage, and we could do like that deep dive through our history and our upbringing and the movie and all that stuff. And they're just such an important partner to us. And to think that kids can go in there now and see and feel the exact same thing that we felt when we were in there. And little side note: there's a section in the museum that has it has like a big a wall that says groups and organizations making a difference, and they put our picture up there,
Oh, I
so
love.
that yeah, that was amazing to me too.
Oh my God, I love it. I'm giddy right now because I'm getting all of these cards being passed to me. So for all of you, except for my biological family who's known me for 30 years, I have a group of girlfriends that I have known since elementary, middle school, and high school. And one of my girlfriends, Brandy, all of you that know me, every year, this gaggle of girls, we were all cheerleaders together. We all go away for a girls' retreat. My girlfriend Brandy is in the chat room, and I just want to send you so much love, Brandy. Um, During the pandemic, we had an imaginary prom, and Brandy and Stacy and Nikki, all my girlfriends sent pictures of me in high school, And one of those photos, I just had like a braid in my hair, and some snotty little kid said I had a mullet. I did not have a mullet. Brandy can be my witness that I never had a mullet, but she does have probably very incriminating photos of me throughout elementary, middle school, and high school, which I think is hysterical. So, Brandy, thank you for joining. I love you so much. I've known you since I was a munchkin. I also want to say thank you. This is crazy. My third grade teacher, Wendy Frankel, just donated. My third grade teacher just donated. It makes me literally want to weep and cry every year. I send her something, a little book or a journal, and this year she donated. So thank you to my third grade teacher from Laverne Heights Elementary. I love her so much. To some of the Freedom Rider teachers that just joined, a special shout out to Stephanie, Tammy. Thank you for joining along with the other Freedom Rider teachers in the call. To Freedom Riders, I know that Ian is there, Shanette, Narada, Calvin, thank you guys for coming. And to our queen, Angelica, was literally the first person in the chat room waiting for us, giddy. She just donated it as well. So I want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being silly. Thank you for staying a part of our family for now and forever. What I want to do is kind of piggybacking with Tony. I'm going to go a little out of order, Rob. Since we're talking about the museum, and I am going to have pastrami on Rye on Sunday with Renee Firestone and her daughter Claire. One of my favorite moments of this year was throwing a birthday bash for Renee Firestone on her 100th birthday. Oh my God, look at that. We brought in a magician, and Renee showed up in her sassy leather pants. We put her on a stage, and this magician, I'm not even kidding, he's like won every award you could think of at the Magic Castle. He's been on TV shows. He is brilliant, but he literally pulled a bunny out of thin air. He made little baby chicks come out of these little yellow balls of thread. And there was like this poof of fire, and suddenly there was a dove. Look at our little love bug, 100 years old, and to be that joy. We were watching the magician through her eyes, because those of you that know Renee as a Holocaust survivor, she didn't get birthday cakes and bunnies and magicians. So to see her be a kid, we were squealing. And we did something fun. We actually brought, at the Hotel Maya, they have a lot of weddings and there's a lot of bridezillas. So we actually contacted one of the makeup artists that usually works on bridezillas, and we said, can you doll up our girl? She's always the prettiest girl in the room. And the makeup artist said it was the pleasure of a lifetime, making Renee feel pretty, to go out there and shamelessly flirt, because that's what she does. She shamelessly flirts with all the boys. So Tony, that was my number one in our recap. Tell everybody what it's like to have Renee flirt with you for 30 years. She's been flirting with you since she was 70, 100. What has it been like to have her flirt with you shamelessly for the last 3 decades?
Well, I mean, it's incredible because Renee was one of the first Holocaust survivors that came and spoke to us, and she didn't have to. It wasn't anything important. We were just some random kids, from the ghetto, and she went out of her way to come and speak to us and tell us about her experiences and show us her tattoo. She was in the movie, so she was kind of like our introduction into this world, and she was the one who was always there, doing all the going through the museum with us, and just kind of speaking with us throughout this whole time. And to think that, like, she's 100 now, and not only, like, she still walks, she still talks, she's still alert. She was giggling, for God's sakes, like giggling, in her little leather pants, and like, and she's 100 years old. Like, to me, that's incredible. That's something to aspire to.
Oh my God, prettiest girl number. Oh my God, breaking news. My girlfriend Brandy is telling tales out of school. She said, did have a mullet. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. She said, you did have a mullet. Oh, yes, I have mini pics. My girlfriends are literally going to throw me under the bus. I love you too, Randy. Um, you're making the world a better place. Kissy emojis. So at some live, we're going to have to go back. And I do have photos of my very thick glasses, my very thick braces, my very bad wannabe Farrah Fawcett. I never could feather my hair the way Farrah did in that famous poster, but Brandy and my girls, Stacy and Nikki, they've got it all. So it's at some live at some point, I'll have to out my younger self. But there was no mullet gates. I promise you, no mullet gates. I want to thank all the Freedom Rider teachers who are joining. Hi, Rochelle. And I want to go to your next. We're going to go a little out of order, but your next favorite moment was when we did the sense of home. And this year for our June Institute, for all of our Riverside teachers, we focused on foster youth. And we partnered with this amazing nonprofit where we literally built furniture from scratch. We staged a home, and for a young woman and her children, this was going to be her first opportunity as she aged out of the foster care system to have a place of her own. So we literally, from concept and rugs to curtains and completion, staged an entire apartment. We planted succulents and plants. We built furniture. These are all our teachers. You and the boys, along with Vanessa, we called Rosie the Riveter. Tony, you guys were outside building furniture while we were inside finding photo frames and furniture. Tell everybody what it was like to build things from scratch that we then got to put in an apartment. And these are all our Freedom Rider teachers and captains writing on beautiful little hearts that we put in a glass vase for this foster youth who, as we found out, had gone to Wilson High, unbeknownst to us, was a Freedom Rider fangirl. And when she received the book and all the love and this beautiful apartment, she lost her mind. Talk about what that was like in that warehouse, trying to build beds and furniture and making it a sense of home.
Oh, it's incredible. It's like my new favorite thing. Um, I feel like a lot of people, when they think of foster kids, they think of little kids, you know, and these little kids grow up and then they grow out of the foster care system, but they don't have that support that a lot of us, have and take for granted. They don't have parents there, or a lot of them don't have like a lot of family or people that can help out, So like, when we were young and we were moving out and getting our own place, we had our family members giving us stuff or a housewarming party or something, and people would just bring stuff over. They don't have that. So even if they do get help getting like an apartment or a place to live, a lot of them end up sleeping, on the floor with like an old blanket, in the corner of an empty house. And then especially if they have kids in particular, like furnishing an apartment is so expensive, and buying stuff for kids, clothing, toys, all of that stuff is really expensive. And a lot of times, like, they can barely afford to pay the rent and food, let alone furnish an entire apartment. And that's what Sense of Home like focuses on, is these kids that are becoming adults, and just kind of helping them take that first step. And the fact that we were able to create like an actual apartment for them and give them everything that's going to be in there. And like, because when they said, well, you guys can be in here like picking cute stuff out, or you can be outside building furniture. I'm building furniture, right?
Rob, go back to the slideshow, because I want to point out Shanette's in the live chat as well. I stand corrected, because I think it was Shanette and Victoria who were outside, our two Rosie the Riveters. So while we're talking, I just want, this was our team. And we're all kind of, there was a team that was the garden team that was going to do all the plants indoors and outdoors. There was the team that was in charge of the living room. There was a team in charge of the kids' bedroom. There was a team that was in charge, of like just building stuff. And after we built one thing. You guys were like, okay, what else can we build?
Mhm.
So you guys got ahead of the building for the next foster youth who's going to be the beneficiary. So I just loved, and I remember seeing Shanette and Victoria literally outside sweating as the bus was ready to leave. And they weren't that, see that bed right there wasn't done. So Shanette and Victoria, they had to finish it. And we all were literally on the bus in awe. Shanette and yep, Shanette just said we had to finish the bed. They had to finish, and I love that you guys were so determined. And even though that wasn't the bed that that particular foster family got, that bed was going to be for the next family. It makes me want to just weep thinking of it. So for our next day of service, for all you freedom riders that are near and dear, we're going to probably do another sense of home in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King and a day of service. So the bat signal will go out, and we want all of you guys to rally, and we'll do it yet again. I want to do another spotlight and another one of your favorite things, Tony, and we'll say my two last ones. But we did things a little bit differently with our teacher training this year, and that was a good old-fashioned scavenger hunt. It started with our last day of the symposium, and we decided to put it on our last day of our institutes. So I want the slideshow to run. Oh my God, all you Freedom Rider teachers are going to be jealous who have never done a Freedom Rider scavenger hunt at the Hotel Maya. So as you see these photos, everyone in red is an original Freedom Rider. So we had teams of like 6 to 7, and we sent them into the wild. There was 10 locations they had to go, and then we kind of jazzified it. They had to come up with a team name. They had to have photographic evidence of every place that we sent them. They had to come up with a song, and they had to come up with a slideshow. And we, with Brian and my trying to scheme and plot, we got silly hats and boas and all kinds of noisemakers, and literally off you went. So Tony, talk about by adding the scavenger hunt to our Freedom Rider Institute. Now, how has that been a little bit of a game changer?
Because I mean, it's supposed to be a team building event, right? But you don't realize that you're doing team building. You're just running around having a blast. And like so few times we get to just be silly and be kids, like as adults. So the fact that we could like run around this hotel and just like do all these silly things, right? Like like look at us. We're in the like laying in the fire pit, and it's just so silly and fun. And at the end of like 2 hours, I feel like we got about a week's worth of bonding with our
Oh,
team.
history. And I have to say, what we show the slideshow at the end, and literally we're all peeing our pants. They are so hilarious, and I love not seeing anything until we show it on the screen. So we just lose our minds. So much fun. So if you are in Southern California in June and July and want to come to our Freedom Rider Institute and be a part of our scavenger, we're going to have hydration stations from now on. We're just going to keep making it even better, even better. But I'm glad that you picked that because it was so hilarious. I think Megan Abruzzo and Nancy and Tammy were three of my favorite scavenger hunt folks from the symposium. So they put it up a notch, and then we were able to show folks their photos from that original scavenger hunt, and then it just kind of set the bar, and the bar just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. Hilarious. Um, Thank you, Tammy P. My sister. Could somebody get my little present that just arrived today? My sister from another mister on the other coast just sent me a package that I got today with a cute little ornament of her and myself. I'll have to show you. It literally just arrived. Oh, look at that. How cute is that, Tammy? She just donated. You were far, far, far too generous. Um, Thank you for sending us cards also with your cute puppies, your fur babies. But this is going to go on the tree. I promise you. Oops.
I like how Tammy's Christmas card had 4 pictures on there, and three of them were of the puppies.
Oh, they were all the puppies. Um, kind of a fun fact, when we were in New York for a bunch of events, we played a game that Nancy Rodriguez hosts, this blockbuster game. This was my Christmas present from the entire team. So Freedom Riders, with our next get together, I have a party favor. This is not blockbuster, it's a card game. It is hysterical. So the next time Freedom Riders get together, we have a new game, and we have Nancy Rodriguez to thank for our big party favor. And the entire office, that was my holiday present, which I'm very excited about. Okay, Tony, we did your top three. I still have two more to go. But the next one, the mom in me, the teacher in me, the fangirl in me is freaking out. I'm so proud of our graduation. And for those that were not there, I hope you saw the photos and lived. We had a processional, and look at my babies. Oh my God, we had 8 Freedom Riders who graduated simultaneously, 4 with their bachelor's and 4 with their advanced master's degrees. And it was magic. Oh my God, oh my God. Our Freedom Rider teacher, president extraordinaire, Glitter Bob, flew out to officiate the ceremony. We were serenaded by John Two and Friends Band. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. Oh my God, these photographs. Look at this. Look at sweet Shanita. Look at Shanette and her son, oh, the most delicious little boy. Shanette with President Glitter Bob Alsop. Look at Maddie, whose son also graduated, her and Narada's son. Look at Urshel, cute Urshel. It was spectacular. Bunny got her MBA. Kimberly Morrison got her MBA. She's now started a PhD. Are you kidding me? Adriana got her master's. I know it's just a matter of time before she starts a PhD. Tanisha got her master's. She started a PhD program. There's something in the water. Oh my God. We had beach balls. We had noisemakers. We had tambourines, clappers. We had Dr. Kedzior getting an award for excellence for his 40 plus years. Tony, you were sitting there as we were all sobbing. What was it like watching your family get the accolades they deserve?
It's incredible because I know how hard it's been for them, and I know how much they've struggled. You know, school's already difficult as it is, and then school plus work is even more difficult, and then school plus work plus kids on top of it. And I couldn't tell you guys how many times we'd be doing an event or we'd be doing something, and then the girls would say, "Okay, well, when I get home, I'm gonna do my homework." You know,
And by
I
the
get
girls, you're referring to Shanita and
yeah,
Shanette.
yeah. Sorry, that
Oh,
actually Jeanette. Yeah, yeah.
God.
They're my sisters. I call them my girls. Yeah. So and they're like, "Oh, we got to go home and do homework and do this and that," and until 1, 2, in the morning, and then they're up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, with the kids and stuff, and so just to see them up there and achieving that and getting that, that's not just life altering for them, but that's like generationally like altering.
And I loved, as Narada put in the chat, Navon, like just imagine his beautiful little daughter, his
Mhm.
son graduating simultaneously. So to have just a family of scholars and love and indescribable. Your girls, I don't think they're done. I think they're already inquiring about Mama G, how do we go back and get our masters? So I love that we've started a thing, and I love that many of our Freedom Rider teachers were also beneficiaries of this master's program. I love that Roma, Deborah, and Kyla have all started in their own, like this close to being done. I think Deborah is done, and Kyla and Roma are just a class or two behind her. So that was definitely in my top three. It was an indescribable night. and then we danced to the most amazing band. We called them the Skittles. All these beautiful men in multicolored suits doing all kinds of fabulous songs. And when the band stopped, we continued singing. I think we became our own DJs. Correct.
Yes, absolutely.
Ain't no party like a Freedom Rider party. My last of my top three uh, um, was, I think, your top four, was the fact that we were able to partner with Martinelli's and do a partnership, because we've been doing these toasts for the better part of forever. And we actually got to go to the Freedom Rider headquarters of Martinelli's up in Northern California and tell them our story, that we've been doing Toast for Change for 30 years with plastic champagne glasses. So they made a really cool little glass for us that doesn't have the bottom fall off. And they paid us in juice, and they gave us 1,344 bottles so that this year we can do 10,000 toasts. So if you are local and you want us to come and see your babies, we've got juice for days. We now and forever. So, Tony, tell them about, like, think about little X-Man and Augie and some of these little classrooms of kids who have never had sparkling apple cider, something this fancy. What is it like when we show up with our little glasses and our bottles, and these little kids get a little taste of a Toast for Change?
So when we go to the schools, I think it was little Xavier that said, "What is this? What is this stuff?" And I said, "It's the best juice you'll ever have in your life." And he was like, "Okay." And then he like drank it, and he's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! Can I have some more?" And like I ended up giving him like half the bottle, and he wanted to take. He was definitely taking home the little cup, and then he wanted the bottle as well. And he said he wanted the bottle because he wanted to put it on the table so his mom can put flowers in the bottle, because he said the bottle was really pretty and he wanted to give it to his mom.
Imagine, so for Martinelli's, they're 156 years old. They're a family, but there's little X-Man.
Yeah,
Oh,
there he is with his bottle.
little X-Men and little Augie. Oh my God. They're 10 years old going on 20. Oh, there's your mama, Shanette. Love that. Um, what I loved is we got to sit right next to John Martinelli, fourth generation Martinelli, and tell him all these stories. And he got so teary eyed, and he wants to go with us everywhere. So, what was that like when we were there's the Martinelli
There
crew
they are.
and the CEO himself, like pouring for kids? What's it like? Now that we have this great new partner and all these bottles, what's it like knowing that they want to be in the trenches with us and coming and serving and being of sacrifice?
It's incredible. It's incredible because I mean, they've been doing great work for 150 years. And when you talk about a good CEO, a good owner, a good company that their employees love them, their employees love to, working for that company that is like community based. That's Martinelli's through and through. You know, but they didn't realize that we've been doing this with kids for years and years, and so now that they see the impact that this simple little act is having with kids, it's just juice, and they're toasting, but the kids take it so serious, and they toast to their future and what they're going to be, and they do it with a glass of Martinelli's in their hand, and that moment is going to be stuck in their head forever, just like us. I mean, that moment, we all remember our toast. Every single freedom rider remembers their toast.
Yeah.
So it's life changing.
You are on a thread with our San Bernardino girls. And I think you sent me a photo of one of our Freedom Rider teachers doing a hot cocoa toast with like the tea cake. Who sent you that amazing photo?
I think it was
One of
Tammy. I think it was Tammy. I think it was Tammy Smith's
Okay, if you're in the chat room,
daughters.
announce yourself. But there's this amazing chat that you guys. Oh my God! And yes, T, you are in beast mode. You guys, every morning, noon, and night are sending each other love. But that little picture with those cute little kids toasting, oh, with hot chocolate and marshmallows, melted my heart. It was so darn delicious. So when they're of age and when they're ready, maybe those little kids can get some sparkling apple cider in a Freedom Writer teacher class. Okay, those were our top six. We were going to do only three, but I wanted three and you wanted three. So we did a rock, paper, scissors. I bowed out, and you got to pick your three favorite podcasts. So I want to segue, Tony, to your three favorite podcasts. And what I have loved about the ones that you have chosen, these three freedom writers have been so active as of late. And we'll share a little bit more about our lovely ladies, but we've been donating to them, and they've been donating back. It's the spirit of giving. It's our 30 for 30. And so we've been donating for these amazing freedom writers, but they keep donating back, which I think is just a sign of who we are. But the first one you chose, I think it was a ringer, is your best friend since forever, since you were in middle school, before you guys even walked into room 203. And it was really hard to get Donald to come and sit across the table from me, because he gets so nervous, and he's very self-conscious about turning red. And I said, hey, we all get nervous, and we all turn red, and we all have butterflies. Your story is so worthy of sharing. So I love that you picked Donald, and you were the one that really coached him to come, because he is an introvert, and a lot of freedom writers are introverts, and it is scary to be vulnerable and bare your soul, so that millions of people can bear witness. But let's go ahead and show Donald's maybe like 2 minutes of his podcast. And on the other side of this, Tony, I want to hear what you said to get Donald to come and sit across the table from me. It's so funny because as you freedom writers get mad at me, I'm very trusting, and you've all been there to help me when I have been too trusting and something goes missing. But whenever you guys are around, I feel so oddly at peace and safe, because I know you guys have my back. And you're so gentle, but I know that you could mess somebody up, right? I mean, that's kind of the word on the street, like, don't mess with Donald. I've never seen that side of you. I know it's there because I've heard. But do you think that goes back to being a kid being bullied? Do you think that goes back to your dad? Where does that, like, don't mess with Donald?
Some of it does come from my dad. And a lot of it was just from being bullied. I got tired of being the victim. And unfortunately, I got good at violence. And you can argue about the nurture of that, but my father was a very violent guy, my birth father, and he was a boxer in the Navy. And one of the things growing up and being violent was like, well, I wanted to be better at him than something, and that was the only thing that I could actually identify with him, was I actually know how to fight. And that was a fruitless pursuit.
When did you realize it was frivolous? When did you realize that I'm my own person? I don't need to be my dad and go through life swinging?
In high school. Like, I don't know. It something about being with such a diverse group of people made me realize, like, none of these people are picking on me. None of them are judging me. And especially not because, like, I'm a white kid that speaks Spanish, or I'm a white kid that says I'm Mexican. They accepted me. And at some point, I also realized that I like my...
I think Donald, Tony, was the only person who did not cry in my interview. He may be the only one. But how did you get, and was that a criteria of, like, I'll come in if you don't make me cry?
Yes. He said, I'm not going to cry. I was like, it's all right. Just tell your story.
How did you coax your best friend to sit across the table from me and spend the hours it takes to share a story, and then be confident enough to say, okay, it's ready for the world?
Because he has a story. He has a story to tell, and he's got that, like, like you said, that kind of that gentle side, that good side, like in there. And a lot of us, growing up the way we do, we just have that facade all the time, and we feel like we need to keep that up all the time. But like, I mean, I know him since we were kids. Like we went to middle school together, and we lived together. We were roommates. Like, and I know him, and I know how he is, and I know how he grew up, and it had to be, incredibly difficult, being a Mexican kid who looks white, who has his name is Donald, growing up in a Mexican neighborhood in Wilmington. Like he's fighting every day, he was fighting every single day, in the morning and in the afternoon, until he walked into our classroom. And I knew he needed to talk about that, and I knew that somebody out there was going to connect to that and needed to hear that, like hear his story.
I love it. Don't quote me, but I know that Rob, our amazing producer for the podcast, has discovered the power of AI. I think that might have been an AI moment, because I think I actually said "don't f" with Donald, and I heard this was mess. So I'm not. Don't quote. I think we cleaned it up for family values on our recap.
Oh, I love it when you cuss.
Let me know in the chat room, but that might have been a stroke of AI genius for if children maybe watching beside their parents right now. Speaking of beside parents, it was Tammy Smith. Tammy declared herself in the chat room and said it was her daughter, Justice's Ted Vitt,
That's
the
what yeah.
toast with the hot chocolate, and Becky Mock and Henry Wright just said a toast for change. Henry Wright seems to be on a little tour. He was here, and he was in San Diego and in near Southern Oregon on December 9th. Rob, I remember he's guilty as charged. Thank you for cleaning up my potty language for the children out there, and using AI to make me look good. For those of you that have not caught up with all podcasts, oh my God, they're so good. We've gone to a different format in the last year, just Freedom Writers, about an hour, and once a month. So if you have not listened to any or all of them, catch up. They're all amazing. Every single one of them is a teaching tool. Every single one of them will make you cry. If Donald didn't cry, I was crying. So even if my subject's not crying, the audience will cry. And they're phenomenal. They're just phenomenal. So your last two that you chose, Tony, I think is really sweet. It's a dynamic duo for many reasons, and many of the amazing folks on this thread have been loving on your girls for several months now. And on the other side of their little podcast, I want to explain why it was so beautiful that you chose both of them. But they are sisters on a mission, and sisters in need. And we have been the family that has been holding them up and loving them up. So the first one I want to show is Tanya. Oh, her voice is delicious. And I think that Tony and I are insomniacs. So I think we just need to have Tanya pick up the Freedom Writer's Diary and read every single page. And that will lull us to sleep at night, because she's just got this beautiful cadence. But let's listen to Tanya first. And then we'll listen to Kanya afterwards. And I want you to tell the audience why you chose these two beautiful sisters.
I mentioned earlier that I was and am in awe of your mother. Where does that strength come from? How do you think your mom became who she became?
My mom is a cycle breaker, and that is such a powerful, difficult role. It takes deliberate thought and mindfulness. My mom was abused and neglected and mistreated growing up, and she never was told that she was beautiful or that she would amount to anything. She was expected to get pregnant at 16 and drop out. And she moved out at, I want to say 17 or 18. And to this day, my mom will tell you that she doesn't think she's pretty because her mom never told her that. So She decided, I'm going to be the exact opposite. My daughter will never experience what I experienced. So my mom gave me hugs. She never got hugs from her mom. My mom told me I was smart and capable. She never heard that from her own mom. My mom and dad told me I was beautiful and wonderfully and fearfully made. My mom never heard that from her own. So it came from within.
Oh my God, you're right. She should have her own podcast. Both Jeanette and Bill said that. Um, Powerful. And what I have loved about you over the years, Tony, you love on your girls, but you also hold them accountable, and you have done that with Tanya over the years. I remember there was a particular line game that we played, and Tanya did not step forward, and you called her out on it. And I think that made her love you even more. So, what has that been like when you can call people out, when you can love on them in spite of?
We were talking about, like, living in a bad neighborhood, and she didn't step forward, and I'm like, girl, you live down the street from me. We live on the north side, like a couple blocks from Compton. Like, come on, man, you don't got to front with us.
Yeah, I remember that. I have loved that so many of the amazing folks here have not only donated to us, but they also donated to both of these young women, which you will find out why in a moment. But thematically, with Donald talked about his dad. Tanya talked about her mother, growing up with a single mom, and Kanya talked about her mother. So I want to show this next clip. It's a doozy. It makes me really sad. And what those of you that listen to these podcasts, you don't know all the stuff that goes on the cutting room floor. I feel bad for Rob because I just am nosy and I just ask a lot of questions. But then we have to, what do we do with all that great footage? And in this particular case, Tony, there was a lot of the interview of Kanya that at the 11th hour we weren't able to use because it triggered Kanya's mom. And she was very, very honest about what happened during Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge regime in Cambodia. Very, very graphic. It was unbelievable. Oh my God, I learned so much, but it was really triggering for her mom. And just about 3 hours before it went live to the world, Kanya asked us to trim it back, and we did. So the version you have now is spectacular. The version that we're going to show is incredible. But I'm just in awe that Donald, Tanya, Kanya, yourself, freedom writers who are on this very call, share so much of yourself to grow others. So let's check out Kanya, and then I want you to talk about why you chose Kanya and Tanya as your top three.
I think the theme of survival and surviving is a constant in your life. Can you tell our listeners about your birth and being a survivalist from birth?
So my parents had to flee Cambodia in the late 1970s because of the communist regime. And they were on a campaign to mass murder any educated, any wealthy aristocrats, anybody who wore glasses, could speak a certain, or you're light skinned, they were targeted. They were mass murdered by the hands of, these Pol Pot regime communists. And they rape, they burn, they annihilate you, take out your organs, any kind of like horrific, ways of killing. 3 million people perished at the hands of, hatred. And that's why I feel like I'm so lucky to be alive still. Because there's no way I could be here with the circumstances that I had to bear as a baby because my mom didn't have enough to eat. And she had my sister who's older than me 1 year, and she was pregnant with me, and they walked all the way to Thailand to a refugee camp. And they discovered that I had tuberculosis at that time, so my lungs were not functioning, and I was severely malnutrition because lack of food. And so I was in the hospital with, strap with on my brain, I think my mom said. And she did.
Mm. And make it she has. So tell us what you did not hear in these two clips, why you chose these two women to round out your top three.
Um, Tanya talked about like cycle breakers, her mom being a cycle breaker. And like that's exactly what I think of Tanya and Kanya. Like, I like to say we're not responsible for the people that came before us. It is what it is, and that happened. We can influence them, but we're not responsible for them. We are, however, responsible for the people that come after us, and I feel like Tanya and Kanya are the place where the buck stops, the place where the violence stops, where the hate stops, where the depression, where the all the bad things stops with them generationally. And then from here on out, it's the positive, it's the hugs, it's the inspiration, it's the good words, the motivation, it's all the good stuff. They are the filter for the evil things that stop at that point.
Mm.
And they do it with cancer. like both of them both of them are going through treatment right now, and they're still taking time out of their day to do the podcast, to speak with kids, to inspire people. Like that for me is inspirational.
Um, I'm so glad you mentioned that. So we interviewed Tanya 3 weeks after. No, I think it was actually just a week, maybe a week after we interviewed her. She was diagnosed with cancer. It was in her appendix and her colon. Uh, we did a podcast with Tanya, and on that same day, Kanya texted me and said, I just was diagnosed. And I said, we got to share it with the team. So we've had these two beautiful women. Kanya just finished her 6th bout of chemo. Kanya finished her 3rd on Christmas Eve. That video that you guys watched was only 24 hours after her first bout of chemo. She'd made plans to do the podcast interview with us. We thought she'd cancel. We encouraged her if she didn't want to come. She said no. These are women warriors, and so many of the incredible folks in this very space have donated to help them in their journey. And here's what's crazy, Tony. These women who we've been loving on and donating have been donating to us. It's crazy. I keep saying to Kanye, stop donating to the Freedom Riders. She said she feels guilty. So she came over to the office the other day with all kinds of presents for every single one of us. So it's kind of crazy that in this moment of need, they just want to pay it forward. So I just want to thank all of you that have really checked on our girls and help with your time and your treasure. It's they're warriors. They're absolute warriors.
Yeah, they're
I
incredible.
Um, we're just at the end of our top review. So I want to say to all of you that came at 10 o'clock, thank you for coming back. Thank you for being a part of this. I like to believe that the chat room, which I'm not in, is more fun than hearing me say wah 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 wah. Because I think that's where the magic is. It's all of you guys loving on each other. And this just in from Nicholas McCarthy, our brand new friend. He said, Erin, I hope it's okay if I call you Miss G. Oh, because I feel like I'm one of your students from room 203, even though I'm not really one.
Welcome to the family, Nicholas. You're definitely one of us.
For those of you that were not with us at 10 o'clock, Nicholas, we said, announce thyself. He announced himself, and he wanted us to know that he has cerebral palsy. One of our amazing Freedom Rider teachers immediately said, Roger Gabori, Freedom Rider teacher extraordinaire from Schenectady, New York, said, we have a Freedom Rider teacher, Elliot Limoncello from Florida, who's got cerebral palsy, as does Roger's daughter. So we signed some books between 10 and now, and we're going to send them to you, Nicholas. You can call me Miss G. I would be honored to invite you into our family. Cephacor, oh my God, one of our original OG Freedom Rider teachers just donated. Oh, Cephacor, we're coming to Texas a lot this year, so we need to connect. That when we fly in and out of Dallas, Fort Worth, we got to see you for a meal, a squeeze, and some laughter. Um, for all of you that were able to join us earlier today and come back, thank you, including our new friend Nicholas. For all of you that have donated and loved on my girls, oh, I just love going on their GoFundMe's and getting excited and squealing that Bill Fever just donated or George Alvarez. It's so exciting to know that it's this the love that keeps giving. There's been care packages. You've been driving around Southern California picking up care packages for these girls, Tony. Little Vanessa had a care package. Sue Ellen has been schlepping to the City of Hope, getting up at the crack of dawn and taking Tanya to some of her appointments. So I cannot thank all of you enough for just being a part of this amazing family. So, Tony, we've always said that family is what we make and family is what we choose. So we just saw it. Sweet Nicholas, who we have not even met in person, is now part of the family. What is the family of choice and that of which we make mean to you?
A lot of us are not lucky enough to have an ideal family, to be born with an ideal family. There's a toast in Ted Lasso that I love that I say that says, toast to the family that we're born with and the family we make along the way. And I think we're lucky and blessed enough to have like this secondary additional family that we can bring in and we could kind of fill our soul with. Because, like I said, a lot of us we're not that lucky, but we are lucky now because we have this group of amazing people that we can count on and rely on.
I love it. I love it. I love that Dustin Hamby just joined us, and I wish you were here earlier, Dustin, because we showed several photos from our time in classrooms around the world this year, and I love the photos from Pasadena City College with your beautiful kids during our Toast for Change. So when you have a little time over the holiday, sit back and watch either the 10 o'clock, the 4 o'clock live, or both. Um, if you have it on your heart and you want to pay it forward, every penny that we get, we pay forward because we're always giving away books and the opportunities. We have a hard time saying no. So if people want us to be in their classes, we figure out ways. We figure out ways to pay it forward. So Tony, what is it like when the bat signal comes out and you also send the bat signal out to freedom riders who are actually even in this very chat now and say, we're going to Adelanto, we're going to Hesperia, we're going to Yucaipa, we're going to Westmoreland, we're going to Sequoia, we're going to what's it like when the bat signal comes your way and you rally freedom riders and we get to have the honor and privilege to walk into a class and see kids who look like you and talk like you and need love just like you needed?
It's amazing. It's amazing because, um, like, sometimes people ask us like, oh, how long you guys been doing this? And we're like, oh, we've been doing this for damn near 30 years. And they're like, oh man, still, like, when are you guys gonna stop? Never, never. Like, as long as there's a kid out there that is going through something and needs to hear that everything's gonna be okay, then it's never gonna stop. As long as we have amazing teachers that we can support and we can help, then it's never gonna stop. And sometimes teachers are doing an amazing job and they feel like they don't have a support system, like they're there by themselves on an island trying to help these kids, and I feel like that's why this is so important, to have these calls, to stay in touch, to go to schools, to work with the kids, because it just kind of reinforces the stuff that they're already telling these kids. So when we do have an opportunity to go and meet with these kids, on a personal level, and talk to them and work with them, and kind of bring the movie and the book to life and everything, it's an honor. It's an honor to walk into a classroom.
I love it. I love that T just said she misses our little hermetically sealed bubble. That's what we do with when freedom writers and teachers come into our world. It is a little bubble, and it is the way the world should be. It's the world that we wish to see, as Gandhi said. We are the change that we wish to see in the world. And if we could take some of that love and some of that magic and sprinkle it in other places. So we are so honored that all of you joined us today. Tony, I want to do this again. We only scheduled 2 today. And between the first one and the second one, we're like, should we have done 3? I think now that we're like all warmed up, I think we need to do this more often. So for all of you that joined us, when you get the bat signal, just the way Tony and the Freedom Riders do, we hope that you too will rally. We hope you'll join us in this sacred space and say hello, to be in that chat room and just to be loved on. So what we're going to do on our way out is I want everyone to just announce themselves and say something positive. We're gonna spread some good karma and some good love. These are hard times, and yet when we're together, I think we see the best of humanity and the best that the world has to offer. So on your way out, please say something loving and positive that's about light and love. And as Megan Abruzzo and Nancy I'll just say, family, friends, and family kind of Wonder Twin powers activate. And with all that positivity in the world, it's going to help us go into 2025. It's going to help us right a lot of wrongs. It's going to help us lead with love, and it's going to help all of us see with our hearts. So on your way out, spread some love, spread positivity. We love and we miss you all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for those of you that have donated. It means the world to us. And thank you for coming and welcoming each other into our virtual room 203.
Bye, guys.
Love you.
Good night, High Desert.
Love you all.